trying to do these lives a little bit more. But I wanted to kind of talk about something that kind of inspired some thought this morning. I got a text from my pops, the whole family group chat. People put a little, have a great day. If they go to church, they got a little Jesus message and things like that. And he sends this text, and it was like a list of 6 things that it was titled, Six Things I Wish I Knew Before I Got Older. And the first one was what kind of stuck out to me because it was a wise understanding about life, but it was also can be culturally, contextually misconstrued in a way that can be an impediment to our healing and to our growth. And the saying was something like, you won't always get the closure that you're needing or looking for. And it's important that you learn to move on without it. And a part of me was like, hell yeah. It's something I'm learning in my life today. It's something I've continued to have to learn and be confronted with throughout my life as heartache and disappointment and harm happens as a natural byproduct of just being a human being, especially in our society where there's so many different elements that create a lot of disruption in our lives, a lot of harm that can be somewhat normalized. Something that I responded though was just maybe an opportunity to expand that a little bit more. And I shared that moving on from a person, a relationship, or a situation should never also equate to moving on from yourself. Should never equate to moving on from the impact of the harm that you're still needing to move through, heal from, reconcile within yourself, and find a sense of safety within you. You see, I love Erica Badu and her song Bag Lady, right? Bag Lady, you gon' miss your bus. Carrying all them bags like that. I guess nobody ever told you. All you must hold on to is you, is you, is you. Right? Great song, right? But I think the point of it is that sometimes we can be so anxious to get away from the person, the situation, the relationship, the job, the school, the place where we felt harm, that we skip the part where we still have to find that healing and that reconciliation within ourselves. And so we might leave a relationship. We might leave someone that we're dating. We might leave a job that did us wrong. But then we still find ourselves in a situation where we haven't yet dealt with the impact of that harm. We still haven't yet dealt with the fact that, oh, somebody did something that betrayed my trust. Someone did something that created a lack of safety within me, within my environment, or within my home. And what ends up happening is if you move to the next situation before actually processing that, you end up collecting a bag. You end up collecting one bag after another, after another, after another. Now, here's the whole mental health aspect of it, that these bags aren't just like proverbial experiences of, you know, baggage in terms of memories. They're also in terms of your internal capacity to process relationships, communication, your situation, even your creativity or ability to create something new, right? These situations that you have or have not worked through are still running in your mind, are still running inside your heart, are still moving, are still causing you to reflect upon it. And sometimes we don't always realize this and we don't recognize why we're having a hard time getting to sleep. We're having a hard time focusing at work or school. We're having a hard time engaging with our relationships, with our children, with our spouse. Because in our unconscious mind, we're still dealing with that thing that was done 6 months, 6 years ago. Now, the catch 22 of this, which is kind of the area of hope, is that when we do confront it, when we do sit with it within ourselves and find that healing, whether it's through a life coach, whether it's through a therapist, counselor, mentor, friend, and we begin to process it, find some books of literature to understand it more, and find that healing, even if it takes time, even if it takes months, even if it takes years. What it does is it begins to release us from having to constantly, unconsciously meditate on it. Begins to release our capacity to think about other things. It releases our ability to begin to expand in terms of what our potential is, instead of focus on what we fear taking place again. Instead of going into the next relationship focused on what we don't want to happen again, we get to claim that experience and what we've learned from it and focus on what we do want to create. And so it then actually expands the potential for what comes next. But I would say this, that within our society, many times we are conditioned to move on and not reflect upon the things that we've experienced, to not reflect upon the circumstances or the situation to try to understand it further. And a lot of that is, also due to like capitalism, right? We have to work so much. We have so many financial, economic demands on us that we rarely have the capacity to take care of our responsibilities, let alone take time to find our own healing. But this is kind of where we have to play that long game versus short game, right? If I want a lasting relationship, if I want to be the parent that I want to be, if I want to be the romantic partner, life partner that I desire to be, I have to start thinking of that in the fullness of a lifetime. If I'm 35, if I'm 22, if I'm 68, and you're likely going to live to 80, 90, 100, God willing, right? Then you have to consider, well, taking a year to process what happened to me in my childhood at 22, 27, 38, 36 pales in comparison to the benefits of that, from being able to shape your relationships for the next 10, 15, 20, 30 years that allow you to find success, that allow you to feel fulfilled, connected with, right? These are the things that I think many times can easily get lost. That we sometimes say, what's the point? What's the point? Why does it matter? And we don't necessarily realize that, well, it matters as much as your future matters to you. And so your opportunity to stop and heal is probably one of the greatest lessons I've probably learned in the past year. That there's so much that we can be carrying throughout our lifetime that we'll get to age 40, we'll get to age 50, and never think that we're still carrying something from when we were 10 years old. That we're still trying to process through something that we went through 20 years ago, right? And so it's important that we're able to take the time to be able to, sorry, real quick, I'm gonna kick this person out. But it's important that we take the time to care about ourselves enough to invest in our future, to care about ourselves enough to say, you know what, I deserve the best in my life. I deserve what I really desire to experience in my world. And if it means I got to take a couple months, if I got to take some money that I would have spent eating out and going to places and concerts and buying clothes and use that for therapy, or to find a life coach, or to spend some time with myself and get away, it's worth that investment. I'm worth that investment. And so when it comes to this idea of moving on, yeah, it's totally okay. It's the reality is we're not ever going to always find the closure we want with other people, with other situations and circumstances. But that should never equate to ignoring ourselves. It should never equate to forgetting the things that we're holding, the pain that we've experienced, the harm that may have been caused, and the impact of it. And so I hope that that's a reframe that could be valuable for each of us today. Um, yes, sometimes you have to move on without the closure, but don't ever move on from yourself. With that, please feel free to leave some comments in the comment section. I'd like to chop it up with y'all afterwards. If there's any other thoughts, please leave that as well. Maybe we can have some discourse back and forth. With that, hope you have an amazing day, and I look forward to the next video with y'all. Peace.